Okay, thanks for checking out this video, guys. All you're going to really do is follow along with your notes as I'm writing down some of the stuff here, some of this information, and doing some of these examples. You can go ahead and pause the video at any time to kind of catch up. And then when you're finished watching the video, in class we'll be working on the worksheet that follows the video. Unit 1B, notes for day 5, we're going to be talking about absolute value equation. So just a quick word about what absolute value means. If you look at this number line and the definition we're working with here, it says the distance of a number from 0 is the absolute value. So whether we're talking about positive 8 or negative 8, the distance on this number line from one to the other would be 8. Okay, a little bit of a sloppy 8 there, but it's 8 units no matter what, whether it's positive or negative. So we'll just move through these examples pretty quickly. The absolute value of -5 is just going to be 5. Move over to example 2. The absolute value of 4 here again is just positive 4, so we don't change signs. So don't think of absolute value as changing signs, just think of the value of the numbers. So example number 3, that is -3/2. So, oops, that is not -3/2, it is just 3/2. And then if we move on over to example number 4, 5/3 again, so it works the same with a fraction as it did with our integers up there, so that's still just 5/3. If we need to evaluate something in here, we do the evaluation first. So as we learned in the previous unit, we're just going to follow the order of operations. So the absolute value of -2 is just going to be 2. And finally, again, -2 plus 6, this is a positive 4. As we said previously, our absolute value would just be 4. Now as we start with example number 7 here, you're going to see that we don't know what's inside the absolute value bars, but we do know its absolute value. So what that means in this case is we have two possibilities. I'm going to remove those absolute value bars, and I'm going to take that positive solution. So if I plug in a 5, the absolute value of 5 obviously is 5. Or if I plug in, or if I change that to a -5, I consider that negative value because the absolute value of -5 is also 5. That gives me two solutions. So my two solutions here are 5 and -5. And this continues for the rest of these problems. Again, here x can equal 2, or it can equal -2. If I slide over to example 9, again, the same thing is happening here. X could equal 8, or x could equal -8. So there's two possible outcomes there. We do have a special case here. So if I look at this particular problem, I have the absolute value of x is equal to -10, and as we learned earlier, absolute values cannot be negative. And even if I kind of mistakenly tried this and just did it the same way that I had done the other ones and called this +10 and -10, when I went to check this answer and I tried to say that the absolute value of 10 is -10, that does not work. So since that doesn't work out, we're just going to say no solution. Operations are going to be the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to do this particular problem here, example number 11. So ideally what I'd like to do is get my absolute value by itself on one side of the equation, and here I have that. So now I know that if -3x minus 10 is equal to 1, its absolute value will be 1. And I also know that -3x minus 10 is equal to -1. That's also going to give me an absolute value of 1. So then I just work these problems. I mean, no matter what we do here, All right, so here we go. Take a look at the two solutions here. I'm going to go ahead and separate those. One of these possibilities is it equals 11. The other possibility equals negative 11. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and then I end up with my solutions as 5 and negative 6. Coming over here to example 13, hopefully you recognize that this just simply stated that the absolute value of x plus 6, which is just the absolute value of some number, is equal to negative 10. So we probably could have just stopped and noticed no solution. If you ended up trying this problem, you probably would have got some other solutions, but no matter what, the value that you took the absolute value of inside of those absolute value bars would not work out to a negative 10. And working on 14 here, just a quick word about example 14. Make sure, our tendency is to always think that we need to end up positive in the absolute value bars, and that is correct. But the stuff inside the absolute value bars, that negative 3 minus 5x, when I take it out, I don't just make all of that stuff positive. So you leave it as is, as it appears inside of those absolute value bars. So for this problem, I'm going to add 3 to both sides of that equation. Again, I'm setting that equal to 12 and to negative 12. I'm going to divide by negative 5, and then I end up with my two solutions as negative 3 and 9/5. I don't know why I had the other number there. Made a quick change. So that is the lesson for today. You're going to go ahead and complete worksheet 5. You'll see kind of a variety of problems on that one, but it focuses mainly on solving absolute value equations. Thanks for watching.